Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Fire Force Season 2, Episode 8. Yeah, so our journey into the Chinese continent began last time, and we met a mole. Not only that, but we met a crow, and they both talk. Somehow the animals here talk. We don't fully understand exactly why. Our characters are theorizing, but they've also been super high on fumes that are coming from the earth, so who knows? Um, but they have reached this oasis in the desert of the Chinese continent, and within it have found a a core, I guess you could say. Very much like the one they have back in Tokyo. And what does this mean? My thoughts are still in line that it was an original, that the one in Tokyo wasn't the first, that it was a second opportunity, a second chance, a second trial, or even that the one in the Chinese continent is what caused the Great Cataclysm, and that the one in Tokyo is a more perfected version. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know. But either way, I'm definitely interested to find out more once we're done taking care of these demon dogs, these hellhounds. Because apparently animals can become infernals too. And that's going to be interesting to touch on as we continue forward. For the time being, though, we're just going to get this started and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Remember when I didn't like Arthur? Remember when I was actually, really against him, I guess you could say? Yeah, it's like, my opinion has definitely changed a lot on him. He's still not my favorite character necessarily, but I've warmed up to him, pun intended, a lot since the series began. And the fact that it's just like, I just enjoy seeing him now. Mind you, he's also proven to be extremely useful outside of just his combat ability. Like, he's also surprisingly smart at times. Showcased here at the end, where he realizes that this number pattern is pi. Something that, honestly, Victor should have recognized. Even at the end there, it's like, he seems surprised, but, he had this reaction like, it's so obvious. The fact that Arthur was able to realize that shows that he has a good level of intelligence to know that many numbers of pi to be able to recognize it that quickly. I can tell you right now, I would not be able to. I know literally just the first three numbers, 3.14. I know nothing after that for pi. But I know there's a lot of people out there who can recite pi to a good amount of numbers. I was always bad with numbers. I was always pretty terrible with memorizing that kind of stuff, so I don't even know my phone number. It takes me a long time to remember my address. You think I'm going to remember something like pi? So, have to give credit where it's due here. But meanwhile, we find out the deal with what's going on with these demon dogs and everything. We start to see other infernals. We find out that they're being led by a literal cult leader, infernal, a cult leader demon infernal, who has been around since the Cataclysm, which is insane already. But on top of that, he believes that if he dies because of how great and powerful he is, if when he dies, he'll like ascend to heaven and like have status and power in the afterlife, and that being free of the fires that cause them pain and everything as well, he'll be able to like bring others into his inner circle, basically. And so that's why these others follow him in the way that they do. Because they want to be free of the pain of the fire as well, and they're led to believe in his ideals, which is really interesting. I again was not expecting a cult leader demon infernal today. That threw me off. It did not even come to mind that would ever be the case, but it's interesting for sure. We also find out that the tabernacle, and by extension Amaterasu as well, are weapons of mass destruction, which very much goes in line with my theory, and practically almost proves it, because it practically almost says it in the episode. It practically says that this tabernacle caused the Great Cataclysm. It doesn't say those words directly, but pretty much that it was a weapon of mass destruction, and that was its purpose, to destroy the world. And we know this demon infernal has been around since the Cataclysm and is in this area. So it's likely that this is the specific key point to where that all began. Now, we also know that this strange woman, who it's unclear if she's a good guy or a bad guy, but Shinra and Scope seems to think that she's good, or at the very least not bad, so she could be neutral too. But she came along at one point, taught the animals to speak, so we know how they can speak now. And she also used the tabernacle to create an oasis for the animals to live in before leaving. We don't know her reasons for this. We don't know her motivations. We don't know anything really. Scope admits she looked creepy, but again, both he and Shinra believe that she's not evil, and now she might be having a link with Shinra to protect the forest. I don't know what this all means. I don't know what this all means. If she is a good guy, what is her game? Like, who is she, or what is she? She didn't look like an infernal. Is she a pillar? I guess that's possible. Do the Whiteclads know about her? If so? I have so many questions here. And if she does link with Shinra, will that give him the power needed to be able to take out these infernals? Most notably the demon. And if it does, then that makes that raises even more questions. this arc is very clearly super important. I do not know if season 3 is going to be the final season, or if they're going to, like, shoot for, like, a 4th season as the final. Because I don't know how much content is left in the manga at this point. And don't tell me, by the way. If you know, don't tell me, unless it's been announced or anything. If it's already been announced, you can tell me. But I'm just curious as to how this is all going to go, because this seems like really important. I was admittedly kind of waving off this arc as, like, not necessarily unimportant, but not as big as other ones. And I think my reasoning for that was simply because they were going to a new location. I was thinking that meant it was probably going to be like a dead end with their goal of finding out more, or it was going to be just, you know, not that big in terms of scale and scope and everything. It was going to be more of like a little side journey. Like, you know, how some shonen anime will have arcs that are just clearly not as big a deal. Clearly just little side adventures that are just there for fun. Might like, you know, add in some important context to things and build up on main story stuff. But altogether are not all that important. There's various arcs in various anime, shonen anime especially, that do this. Chainsaw Man did this. You could say, like, the arc in Chainsaw Man where they're at the hotel with the Eternity Demon, or Eternity Devil, rather. You could say that is one of those arcs. Altogether, it's not super important, but it does a few, like, minorly important things, notably introducing new characters, and just kind of starting to build a little bit more with the gun devil and everything. But the actual events of the arc don't really amount to much, if you think about it. And obviously, a lot of the bigger ones, like the big three, have arcs like this as well. And I'm not even counting, like, filler or whatnot in this. I'm just talking, like, canon arcs. There are arcs that just aren't as important. Like, they might introduce a character or something. Or might introduce a couple concepts that are new that are a big deal. But overall, the arc itself is not as great. Like One Piece. There's a couple of those I can think of right off the bat. Loguetown. Loguetown should be a bigger arc than it is, but let's be honest, it's not. Loguetown just introduces a couple of important characters, and that's really about it. Like, for the arc where they're going to the place that Roger was born and died in, you would think it would be a bigger deal. But the arc itself was kind of almost self-contained in a lot of ways. The only things that weren't were the new characters that were introduced. You have Smoker, you have Tashigi, you have Dragon, and they're big deals. But yeah, otherwise the events of it aren't really that impressive. And then you also have, keeping with One Piece, you have Whiskey Peak, and I love Whiskey Peak. But let's be honest, it's not that important. Like, the only thing it does is introduce Baroque works. More so than the Reverse Mountain arc did. And that could have been done literally any other way. It didn't need to be. It could have been done on Little Garden. There was not really much of anything about how it was introduced with Whiskey Peak that makes it that important. Also, dog might start barking in a second, just letting you know, male person is coming. But yeah. That's what I thought this arc was going to be initially, but I've definitely been proven wrong. This is very clearly major. Like, this is kind of... Told you. This is kind of introducing us to the main core concepts of how this entire series basically, the events of this entire series basically came to be. And that's insane that we're getting huge information like this. Um, I don't know how far this is going to go though. Like, are we going to, like, after we defeat the demon infernal, after exploring the tabernacle, is that going to be all there is? Are they going to just go back to Tokyo and report their findings to Obi and everything? I'm just wondering because it seems like this arc would be longer, but I don't see anything else needing to happen. It seems like that's all the only place it would really go, which means it would have to connect to stuff that comes after. It would have to connect to future arcs where we improve upon and increase the knowledge that we got here. I guess we'll have to find out. But yeah, this is very interesting. And if this is the starting point of the Great Cataclysm 250 years ago, it's a very big deal. Like, even bigger than just everything else we've learned. If it is the starting point of that, this is literally the epicenter of the world in a way. It's the point that everything stems from with where the world's at currently. So that's pretty insane. And I'm very curious to see where this goes. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Fire Force Season 2? For now, leave a comment down below. And yeah, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.